just
There's
opened.
there's people showing up.
Okay, awesome. Well, great. We'll jump right in for the sake of time. It is 10 a.m. and we'll get started. I was telling Chevy, he was awesome in helping me get acclimated to the Happen platform and joining you all today. So on my screen, I see my presentation, but he's going to help moderate the chat for me and chime in as you guys have questions. But I'll jump right in with an introduction of myself. I am Molly-Armine Holston, one of Promethean's education consultants, and I support the educators and administrators and IT teams across Virginia, West Virginia, and DC. Before joining the Promethean team, I spent 12 years in the pre-K through 12 setting as a special education teacher. I worked as an instructional coach in our central office building and as a school-based administrator. So it is my hope that in our time together this morning that I leave you with some ideas and inspiration for the way Promethean solutions can meet the needs of educators and students returning either for in-person, remote, or hybrid learning. So as you guys have questions, drop them into the chat. I hope it sort of, can be a conversation in our time together this morning. As you all know, around the world, education communities have been asked to reimagine learning and the tools that connect students no matter where they sit in our environments. So as the lights start to come back on in our classrooms, everyone is looking for that fire to ignite inspiration. So I want to take a minute to turn and listen to Trevor Muir. If you joined ISTE last week, you may have heard his keynote speech capture what I feel like the majority of us are feeling. I was just testing my audio, so full disclaimer, you might need to turn up your volume for this next video. So I will give you a second to do that and then crank it back down. It seems like the volume is light. So I will turn to the next slide and turn it all the volume all the way up, and we'll turn to his.
I was told when I was a new teacher that a quiet classroom is a good classroom. The teacher does the talking and the students listen. A lot of us were told this. Then we had a pandemic and we feel this longing deep in our bones for the noise, the sound of an excited child, the laughing at jokes that you can't hear when they're muted on Zoom, kids gasping in wonder when an experiment works, the instant increase in volume in a hallway when the bell rings, class discussion, laughter, the lunchroom, walking by another classroom and hearing so much noise coming from the cracks in the door that you can't stop smiling because that teacher might have some engaged students.
Bringing the noise back into the classroom certainly isn't an easy task, but at Promethean, we hope to make it easier with a solution that integrates into your classrooms, brings interactions to life, and really inspires teachers to extend the boundaries of learning.
I was told.
As education began to pivot, Promethean did what we do best. We integrated ourselves into your world so that we could relate to the historical ways that teachers were being asked to connect and to work with students. We really worked hard to adapt to this new Learn Anywhere school that was emerging. And as we did some research and we gathered all the ways that Promethean could keep learning alive when not in the classroom, we turned to Teams and Zoom and Google Meet. And we established best practices for virtual engagement and lesson delivery. And we really worked hard to lead the conversation by putting it all together in a remote and hybrid guide, which you can find located on our Learn Promethean website. And we didn't stop there. Our work became more focused on sustainable learning, and how we provide the tools and a solution that will help support teachers, students, IT teams, and administrators. So we fast forward to back to school last August, and we made it a priority to support our teachers. Our teams immersed customers in virtual sessions that really got teachers and IT teams acclimated to their new Promethean hardware and software, and the new ways that students would be interacting in this new Learn Anywhere schooling. Behind the scenes, our development teams were really listening to teachers and school-based teams in buildings. And this focus on the right tools to empower learning is why Promethean is now being chosen nearly 2 times over the other vendors in the industry. While education certainly has new funding to put a dent in closing that tech equity gap that we know exists, the resources to support and manage that technology hasn't always caught up. So our device management tools supported these exhausted IT teams, and at Promethean, we also still recognize that there was a need to do better and have more efficient tools for district and IT administrators. So at Promethean, we are expanding our partnership portfolio to bring IT quality tools to help make our IT teams' jobs easier. As we have worked this past year to integrate and create new ways to interact, it is now time to inspire. As we move to a new Learn Anywhere classroom with new possibilities, as we embrace an education system that has experienced a digital transformation, Promethean wants to be your trusted partner to help implement Classroom 2.0. This generation's classroom has no boundaries or restrictions on learning. I'm not sure if you knew, but prior to the pandemic, only about 20% of students had one-to-one devices. And now that number has nearly grown to 80% of our population. So we now really have a chance to inspire the redesign of learning, engagement, and really the whole classroom landscape. Can you imagine 2 or more active panels in a classroom that create collaborative spaces around a classroom for students to interact?
Is that 80% nationwide, or is that a West Virginia regional sort of number?
That's a super great question. That is nationwide. Well, yeah, nationwide. And it certainly could be global. At Promethean, we are a global company, but really, yeah. So definitely not a regional statistic. Yeah. So as you guys know, boots on the ground, the education community as a whole really has learned a lot this past year. And 2 items have really risen to the top in every ed tech conversation. Number 1, no one has all the answers because, you know, certainly our needs are so diverse. And number 2, that we have to do better when we bring back that noise to our classroom. At Promethean, we have been inspired by the 1.8 million classrooms and 250 million students that have been a part of our journey for the past 20 plus years. We're creeping up on year 25. And so we are inspired by developing experiences, building connections in safe and secure platforms that allow all involved to manage student learning. And we have the awards to support our inspired work. So even during a time when the interactive flat panel community wasn't sure what tools teachers would embrace, we're receiving awards for our innovative work and for delivering a solution that is trusted by the education community. So let me introduce you to our Active Panel Element series, the classroom hub that is inspired by educators and is designed for educators. We know that you are excited by those classrooms and hear those engaged students. And when we know it all starts with that expected first interaction, the touch technology is super important. So Promethean has an exclusive vellum writing technology that delivers industry's most natural writing experience, free from disruptions or any lagging, false strokes. The vellum technology really creates a smooth writing performance, enabling teachers and students to interact instinctively. And we accomplish this through a combination of hardware and detection algorithms that are exclusive to Promethean. So on our titanium panel, there are 20 points of continuous touch for students to collaborate. And on our nickel panel, 15 points of continuous touch. The Active Panel Element series features a pre-installed unified menu that places all the most commonly used tools right at the teacher's fingertips and always really within an arm's reach, accessing it on 3 points on our panel, which we'll see here in a minute. Each panel allows for multiple profiles where teachers can securely access their content and personalization tools from either their Google Drive or their OneDrive. They can also access linked to apps and organize them in the locker that makes sense to them, and integrate these into the unified menu to redesign and evolve their learning landscape. So we put a lot of research into which tools are accessed during a lesson. And as I had said earlier, at Promethean, we are an education company that is designed by teachers for teachers in mind. So we created our Classroom Essential apps. And this app suite is, as I said, is pre-installed and easily accessed from the unified menu and the locker. You can draw, highlight, annotate over any content from any source, capture and bring your learning moments live with the Whiteboard app that allows for a multi-user experience. It can be extended with customizable spinners and the timer apps. And we have created the apps that are really essential to the classroom and that bring excitement and engagement into every lesson. Our screen share app allows screen mirroring of any device instantly and up to 4 sessions at once. So screen share is included with the unified menu, so no additional software to download and learn, and no additional hardware attachments are necessary. Many classrooms have used the screen share for the teacher to become mobile or untethered with their device. And our screen share app allows for each device to enter a waiting room where the teacher can manage who is leading the conversation. So as we know, super important for teachers in that arena to be in control and in the driver's seat of who's facilitating there. Also impacts how creativity is shared or enabled with the touchback feature, which you'll see here in a demo in a minute, for quick interactivity without the downtime of trying to connect any cables. So while the Active Panel Element series is a powerful and effective solution straight out of the box, quite literally, we don't want to limit your options as you redesign your vision for learning anywhere as it applies in your ecosystem. So the Promethean Chromebox is the perfect solution for extending an already existing, perhaps Chrome ecosystem to the Active Panel Element series, which provides that certified and seamless access to your preferred apps from the Google Play Store. So schools wishing to deploy a walk-up and teach solution with a Microsoft Windows environment may consider the Active Connect OPS-M or simply attach your existing laptops. The Promethean webcam also, which you see here, connects to your laptop for easy recording or interactions during lessons, creative projects, STEAM classes, or to provide a student a front row seat no matter whether they are in class or remote. So I've given you some pieces of our great solutions here at Promethean. One other piece, and I don't have it pictured there, but for larger classroom spaces, media centers, we also have an active soundbar that enhances power, richness, and depth of the audio experience for students. But I want to take you into what I'm going to kind of quote a live demo. I wasn't quite sure how in the Hopin platform my active panel itself would connect for you all. So I have brought in a great video clip of one of my dear colleagues and also education consultants, Lindsay Lorsey, to flip over and kind of showcase at the panel. So let me see. Chevy, are you guys still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Great. Then I am gonna jump in here, and will you happen and tell me in a second the sound here too if I need to make any changes?
Sure.
I have a lesson up here ready to go. This lesson is going to give me the opportunity.
How are we doing on sound there?
Better than the last one, so go
awesome. Good. Okay, then I'm gonna let Lindsay take it away and kind of show you all that is at the panel live in her home office studio.
We are just seeing your presentation. So is there a video for this? Is there a video for this?
Oh, there is. Yes.
We're just seeing the PowerPoint.
Okay, let's great. Thank you. Let me see if I can come back over to you and reshare my screen here. You see my video now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, great. You guys are awesome, thanks.
All about volcanoes. So the first thing you're going to notice is that my whiteboard background is gray. In our toolbar over here, it is the fourth icon down, and this icon allows me to change the background of my whiteboard. So I simply choose that icon, and then again, I have graph paper, lined paper, musical staff paper, primary handwriting paper, as well as some color choices to choose from to change the color of the background. Now, this whiteboard, as I mentioned earlier, is an infinite canvas, so I have the ability to create as many activities as I'd like on this one big infinite space, and I can scroll through it. And as you notice, as I'm scrolling in the top corner here, I can see my navigation window, and it helps me kind of navigate through this whiteboard. I'm going to bring up this graphic organizer. The question is, where did I get this graphic organizer? In my whiteboard, over here underneath where my background choices are, so it's the fifth icon down, I can choose from charts and templates that are preloaded. We have things like a hundreds chart, Frayer model, Venn diagram, T-chart, coordinate plane. It's in there if you need it. So at a click of a button, you have all the graphic organizers, charts, and templates that you may need. And that's where I got that concept map for this particular activity. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here. And let's say we're talking about volcanoes. So a student says to me, I'm going to ask, what do we know about volcanoes? And somebody said hot. And I go to write hot. Oh, well, somebody else already wrote hot. So I'm simply going to take my palm and erase my work. Again, that is a titanium panel specific tool. So you can palm erase in the whiteboard without needing to come over to your toolbar to change the tool. So let's go ahead and actually fill this out. We know that there's lava, there's ash. We also know that they erupt. Okay, so we went ahead and filled this out. It says erupt. There we go. And that's great. And my students were like, that's awesome, but snow covered? That makes no sense. How can a volcano be snow covered? So we're going to go take them to go see a snow covered volcano. And I'm going to do that by opening up my unified menu, choosing my locker, and in my locker, we have the Chromium app. Your titanium panel is built with the Chromium app built into it, so you simply tap on that Chromium app and it brings up the internet. Now I've kind of done some of the work for us here, and that is the image that I want. Perfect. It's got everything that my students just talked about, lava, ash, and snow. But I want my students to come up to the panel and I want them to annotate on top of this. So how can they write on top of this particular image on the internet? And that's with one of our essential tools called Annotate. So they're going to come up to the panel, open up the unified menu, and choose Annotate. And a new window will appear, a new toolbar, and I can move that toolbar anywhere I want on the panel. I'm just going to move it off to the side, and now I'm going to start labeling. So we're going to say lava, I'm going to say ash, and snow. I'm going to write it here. I'm going to draw an arrow there, some snow. Perfect. So we've written all over this, and I'm like, ooh, this is too good not to keep. I want to take this and put this in my graphic organizer. So to do so, I simply open up my unified menu and choose Capture. Capture will take a screenshot of whatever's on the panel, and then with the Capture feature, you also get Crop. So I can drag any of these corner icons and drag them to where I want them, and I can crop the image just take what I want. I'm going to say Done. Open in Whiteboard, and now this image appears in my whiteboard where I can pinch and zoom or minimize and put it right in our concept map. All right, so we just went to go see a volcano in Russia, and we're talking about the Ring of Fire, so now's the great opportunity for me to pull up this map and plot the distance between Mount Kamchatka and Mount St. Helens. So to do that, again, I come over to my toolbar, and the third icon up from the bottom is the map tools. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the map tools and choose the ruler. And this ruler I can move and manipulate. So you see how intuitive that is? I can pinch and zoom, I can rotate, I can really plot the distance between the two. I also have the ability to, as soon as I touch, I think I closed it. I also have the ability to, as soon as I touch the edge of the ruler here, it creates a straight line here. So I have the ability to even plot the distance between those and create a perfectly straight line from my ruler tool. Perfect. All right, so we've talked about our math tools, we've talked about Annotate, and we've talked about Capture and the graphic organizers and Palm Erase. There's more. So we're going to go ahead and touch the background of the whiteboard just to kind of scroll on through that infinite canvas. And we're going to go to take some notes now about volcanoes. So on the titanium panel, you now have the ability for multi-window. And what I mean by that is that you have the ability to dock apps to the right, left. You can minimize them, you can expand them, all with this new toolbar down here at the bottom of the right-hand side of any of the apps on the panel. So here's my whiteboard. I'm going to dock my whiteboard to the left. And here's my internet here. I'm actually going to open up a new tab, which is all about the Ring of Fire. And then I'm going to take this and dock it to the right. So I have my notes and I have my internet. So my students can scroll through this National Geographic article and take some notes at the same time. Again, at the bottom of these, we have expand, and we also have minimize and close out. So these are going to be some options for you. I'm just going to minimize the internet because I don't need it anymore. And let's minimize that as well. Perfect. And now we have just our whiteboard and this extra space over here where I can come and expand my whiteboard, make it full screen again. So again, that toolbar down here has expand, minimize, close, as well as dock right and dock left. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to this next piece here. Now, let's say in a hybrid or remote distance learning environment, I want my students to have access to this page at home. So earlier earlier today, remember we connected our cloud storage to our profile on the titanium panel. And now to get this to them, I simply come up to my toolbar, to the very first icon. It's 3 dots. That's going to be our file. And I'm going to choose File and Export PDF. You'll notice that I have lots of choices up there. File, save, save as. All of that is going to save it to the panel itself. But if I choose Export, I can export it as a Promethean Whiteboard file, which is going to stay as a Promethean Whiteboard file, so that maybe my colleagues can use this on their panel. Or I can export it as a PDF, and that's great for my students to have access to this at home. So I can export it as a PDF and then choose which folder to put it in my Google Drive that I connected, or my OneDrive. It really gives me the ability to send this out to my students. So really cool stuff there. Now, the last thing that we have here is we're going to go to this really fun activity that I love to do with students. And this is going to be called the Great Volcano Race. And really the whole point of this activity is to get 2 students up to the board at the same time, racing to the finish. And I'm going to use 3 things to kind of help me with that activity. So first thing I'm going to do is the 3rd icon in my toolbar in the whiteboard is dual mode. And it looks like 2 people with a line down the center. I'm going to click that icon and it does exactly that. It puts a line down the center and separates my toolbar into 2. So now I can have 2 students up here working together at the same time. And next, I want to see which student gets to come up. They're like, pick me, pick me, pick me. So I'm going to open up my unified menu. We're going to choose the locker, and we're going to choose the spinner app. Now, the spinner app is completely customizable. You can create as many spinners as you want simply by choosing the title of the spinner. There's a little down arrow, and it's going to open up all the spinners that you've created already on your panel. So in this instance, I have names and colors and numbers 1 through 10. I can come up here and create new, and you can create spinners for your creative writing, maybe for sentence starters, for multiplication tables, the states and capitals, you name it, review, phonics, so many opportunities for you to create activities here. I'm going to choose names. And here are my students' names. Now, something also that's pretty cool is that now in this little section in my spinner, I have a plus sign. And that plus sign gives me the ability to add another spinner. In fact, you can have 4 spinners open at the same time. So think of all of the activity possibilities for that. In this instance, I have a spinner over here to spin who's going to be on this side, and a spinner over here to see who's going to be on this side. I'm just going to spin that spinner here to see who's going over here. We'll see it lands on Emily. So Emily gets to come up and do this activity. And today Emily's going to race me to do this activity. So we've used our spinner. And now because this is a race, we need our timer. So in our unified menu, in our locker, we have the timer. Now this timer, again, very similar to the spinner. It's a floating app. It floats with you wherever you go. You can also have 4 timers open at the same time, and it doesn't have to be a timer. I can make this a stopwatch, or I can turn on the clock. Now I'm going to actually go back to the timer, and I'm going to set it for, we're going to do 2 minutes here. Actually, I'm going to be generous. We'll give 10. This might be difficult. We'll give them 10 minutes. Now I have the ability to make this a digital timer, or I'm going to pause this, come down to the settings of my timer, and make this an analog timer. Now, the beauty of the analog timer is that you have the digital timer here and this view of your seconds ticking down. So visually, it's great for students. Again, this is floating, so I can move it wherever I want, and then my students can get to work. Okay, so that was 5 of the 6 essential tools. Now, let's go to the last and final one, and that is screen share. So we're going to come down to our unified menu and open up screen share. Now, screen share is Promethean's way to cast or share your screen up to the Element Series panel. We're going to go ahead and make this nice and full screen here. So screen share, again, as I mentioned, is Promethean's way to cast or share your screen from any device up to your Element Series panel. That means Chromebooks, PCs, iPads, MacBooks, mobile devices. There is a corresponding app, software, or Chrome extension for any of your devices. And if you get stuck and you want to know how to cast your device, down here at the bottom of screen share, there is a question mark. If you click that question mark, it's going to take you to a help website that will give you specific directions for what to do and how to get connected. Now, you'll see up here that I have a panel ID number. That's going to be the number my students use to connect to my panel. You're also going to see that I have a waiting room here. This waiting room will allow up to 39 devices to sit in that waiting room, waiting for the teacher to choose which students get to share their screen. And you can share 4 devices at the same time. So I can have 4 windows open and I can compare and contrast with my students and see what they've done and share while they're seated or even while they're home. They can share their screen even from home to my Element Series panel. How cool is that? So I'm going to go ahead and use my PC here. I have a Surface Pro. I've opened up my screen share software. I've entered in the panel ID number. I've typed in my name, and on a PC and a MacBook, I have something special. I have a third choice, and that is to enable touchback. So again, on a PC or on a MacBook, using the screen share software, I can enable touchback. So I went ahead and did that, and I clicked enter waiting room. And there it is. There's my device. My device just popped up in the waiting room, and I have a green dot there. That green dot lets me know that that person, that device, enabled touchback. So let's go see what that means. So I'm going to choose the device, and it's going to show my screen. There it is. There's ActivInspire. I'm actually going to open up the dashboard here in ActivInspire. What? I touched? Yes, I did. Let's talk about that. I enabled touchback on my PC. Remember, what that means is now I have full control over my computer from my panel. So I can go to the resource library, I can move and manipulate and open files, and I can run my ActivInspire flipcharts from my panel via screen share. How cool is that? Again, if you have questions about how to get connected, go ahead and click the little icon down.
All right. That is kind of the nuts and bolts that I wanted you all to be able to see. Let me come back to you guys. Any questions? Let's maybe pause there because that gave us an opportunity to see kind of a live or soft demo there. Questions about what you saw that are coming out? I don't see anything, Chevy, in the chat yet. Okay, awesome. Great. Well, then we'll keep on going. I will go back to sharing my screen here. And from current slide, I am just going to take a moment here, and you guys are back seeing my slide deck. Okay, awesome, great. This QR code here, if you want to scan, I'll show it again at the end, but we'll take you directly to our link on our Learn Promethean site if you want to schedule a personal demo for your school or your team or your district, your college or university. So this QR code will take you directly there so that you really can kind of explore the features maybe you have seen specific to your needs or your ecosystem at your site. Okay, so just a couple of things that I want to highlight in closing and then take any other questions, as I know we're down to our last 10, 12 minutes or so, is highlighting our lesson delivery software that supports both in-class and remote learning that comes included in your Promethean purchase. So no subscription fees, it is included for the life of your product. So both our ActivInspire and ClassFlow deliver interactive multimedia lessons offline or online using your choice of solution. So you can record your lessons in ActivInspire and share your MP4 in any virtual classroom, or take learning anywhere with our award-winning online platform, which is ClassFlow. Both ClassFlow and ActivInspire software, as I said, are created and supported subscription-free and included in the purchase of the Active Panel Element series. And then, as we know too, the spotlight has really been put on professional development, and we are learning that accessibility to training is just as important as access to technology itself. To support learners across the continuum. So Promethean has led the journey and will continue to lead this PD journey. We didn't just start a training department because CARES funding is now provided. We have had a training department for the past 18 years. We have over 40 education consultants like myself across the US, each with a minimum of 5 years of direct classroom experience. And really our work as education consultants in the Promethean journey is to provide customized and on-site or virtual trainings, guidance on integrating curriculum with technology, coaching administrators on what changes should be expected in the classroom, and we provide a continuum of options to do so. So for teachers who enjoy learning on the go or wish to expand their tech education, we offer free courses, classroom resources at our Learn Promethean website. Something we know is that teachers often want to get started right away, and we heard that from them. So on our panel, we have a pre-installed help app that allows teachers to take a quick tour of their new active panel, but we didn't stop there. The help app also will connect teachers or users to directly to our support site, which will help reduce the number of tickets to IT teams like yourselves, perhaps, or having to chase those down. So certainly that's an ease of use feature there. And we continue that quality support with our comprehensive standard warranty with 3 years of on-site service, phone and web support. So opportunities to kind of meet your needs. Since the active panel is connected across networks, the IT department, perhaps as you know, have a vital role in the classroom redesign. The Promethean panel management option allows for over-the-air updates, reducing the time and effort needed to make software and firmware updates. System administrators can manage users and assign administrators to assist with enrolling our panels. And we are extending our partnership portfolio, and we have partnered with Radix, a leader in device management. With our Radix partnership, IT administrators can manage active panels as well as other devices, multiple profiles, basic messaging, remote support, app deployment, all from one hub or console. So a nice ease of use feature there. And then something we wanted to highlight, which is has just been released in 2021, Promethean commissioned a total economic impact study from Forrester, as you may know, a company that has a strong foundation in research. Not only did the research solidify what we are, that we are headed in the right direction as a company, it also is help guiding our next steps in our work. So when you look at the data on this slide, the financial benefits of choosing Promethean are impactful. Through 153 surveyed participants, 5 customer interviews, and data aggregation, Forrester concluded the following 5-year financial payback and benefits to teachers and students. Of those surveyed, there was a 48% decline in IT tickets. This gives more time back to those shrinking IT teams. A $26.7 thousand annual savings from avoided projector bulb replacements, which was certainly a thing of the past, or in our generation of the past, and a 54% reduction in annual spending on printed materials, which is pretty heavy. So you can see we have a strong foundation supporting the education community and in designing classroom experiences. So we are excited to welcome back the noise in our classrooms this year, and we welcome you to the solution that will inspire how the world learns. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to either come off mute, drop it in the chat. We'll pause in a second. Chevy, if there are any questions. I serve as the education consultant for the West Virginia territory. My teammate, Chad Schnell, who is our active classroom specialist and field sales representative, is on vacation with his family this week. So we work together as a team in the West Virginia region. So don't hesitate to shoot me an email. And if I don't directly know the answer on the education consultant side, I am happy to connect us with Chad and get your questions about our Promethean solutions answered. And then a couple other things I just wanted to highlight, a QR code or a link to our Camp Promethean event, which is being held this Friday by our education consultants. So really an instructional focus opportunity for instructional coaches, teachers, is our focus there, with tracks from IT and administration to Active Inspire, our class flow platform, our panel, if you are a division that is currently using our active panel. And then, as I promised, I put another link here for you guys to the live demo. So if we can support you guys with a customized live demo specific to your school or school division, college or university, don't hesitate to schedule that with us. But that is all I have for you, with a few minutes left. And so I'll hang around for any questions. Totally. Yeah, great. Let's put those links for you guys. I have those. So. Chevy, are those coming into the whole feed?
Everybody can see them.
Okay, awesome. And then our Camp Promethean link, which is a fun event.
I used to do K-12 IT, and I've replaced a lot of projector bulbs. I never really thought about that kind of cost for a district.
I know. And when you see the numbers, it definitely took me by surprise.
Yeah.
It exists, but quantifying that for sure.
Right.
So, well, it has been a pleasure connecting with you guys this morning. And if I can support you guys now or in the future, please do not hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. That was a great presentation.
Great.